Hi everyone, my name is Jeanette Godfrey. I'm the Communications Coordinator here at St. Mary's Hospital. I'm also a Lean Green Belt, or you may also hear us referred to as Lean Experts. And today I am here to introduce you to the Force Field Analysis Tool. All right, let's get started. So before we begin talking about the Force Field Analysis Tool, I just wanted to give you some general reminders for when using Lean tools. First of all, Lean tools work best when they're interactive. You want to get very interactive with your team. You can recreate the tools on an easel pad during the meeting or on a whiteboard. And you can get very interactive using Post-it notes, colored markers. An easel pad is definitely going to be your best friend as a meeting facilitator. If someone's taking minutes, just want to remind them that they do not need to take minutes of the discussion surrounding the tool. It would be best just to place the finished tool in your minutes or attach it to your minutes. And the technique you will use most during this process is brainstorming. We're going to talk about brainstorming in detail a little bit later. If you want more information about a tool or have a question, you would want to reach out to a member of your performance improvement team, and we will have information at the end of the video about that. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about brainstorming. If you've taken part in a facilitative leadership class here at Bon Secours, then some of this information will look very familiar to you. If not, the facilitative leadership class is a great place to learn more about brainstorming. I'm going to go over it very briefly now. So there are 3 steps to brainstorming to get those ideas flowing from your team. Step 1 is called open, and this is the fun part. This is the free flow of ideas. There's no wrong answer. It's okay for people to expand or build on other people's ideas. Now this can get a little out of control sometimes, and it's a good idea to set a time limit for your brainstorming. You don't want it to hog your whole meeting time. The next step is called narrowing, and during this step you would use various techniques, one of which is polling or voting, where the team would vote on the ideas that they would like to pursue as possible solutions. Also, you could use there are various other tools. Again, you could learn more about those in the facilitative leadership class. And the final step is closing. And this is the step where you reconcile any differences and you finalize what ideas or which things you're going to move forward with. Now, this is important to note. If your team continues to want to go back and brainstorm over and over on a topic that you think you've already moved past as a group, they're kind of telling you to read between the lines and notice that maybe it really wasn't closed in their minds. So it may be the best thing to do is to go back to brainstorming, to open, to narrow, to close. Or you may just need to narrow and close to get the team moving and back on track. So when you're beginning to use the Force Field Analysis tool, you'll want to gather some materials. The first thing is, of course, your easel pad or a whiteboard. That's always great. Everyone can see what's being written on it. It helps facilitate teamwork. Markers. I prefer colored markers. You don't have to have colored markers, but that's my preference. Post-it notes. These are, of course, optional, but you'll see later in the video how we use Post-it notes and what an asset they can be. And the thing that you will need the most is a great team. An interactive team. You want the right people in the team. You want the stakeholders to be represented in the team. And you want to be able to have a team that's cohesive and can really get the ideas flowing. Okay, let's see how to use the Force Field Analysis tool. Let's see what it is. So the Force Field Analysis tool has 3 parts. The first part is the goal. So when we speak of the goal in the instance of the Force Field Analysis tool, the goal is the outcome that you're working towards. It's the outcome that you want to result from this project. It is your project goal, okay? And you'll see an example in just a minute. And then the second part is an arrow. It points from left to right, and it's labeled driving forces. And within this section, or within this part of the force field analysis tool, you would list the forces which are driving you towards change, the things that are driving the project forward. All right, the third part is a similar arrow. This one points from right to left, and it's labeled restraining forces. And here you would list all of the things that are holding your team back, or holding the project back, or holding the outcomes back. Sometimes we refer to these as barriers. That can be sort of a negative term, so we're referring to them now as restraining forces. The great thing about identifying the driving forces is that it helps you identify additional stakeholders that you may need in your team. It also helps you identify the things that you may find the metrics for your outcomes in. If financial stability or lower outcomes for an hospital-acquired infection, let's say, if better outcomes for a hospital-acquired infection were one of your driving forces, then you will know that if you look at the data for that, it will show you that you have achieved your goal. A great reason for looking at the restraining forces is because you can identify a barrier ahead of time and prepare your team for it, so that when the barrier that you identified, when it comes your way, the team won't lose morale and lose momentum. They will say, hey, we thought that might turn up as a barrier, but we know how to move past it, or we've already been thinking of some ways to move past that. That's the basic benefit of the force field analysis tool. Let's look at an example now. Okay, so this example was from a project that occurred quite a while ago, but in the stress lab at St. Mary's, and they had a goal, as you can see in the goal box, that they wanted to reduce patient wait time to less than 10 minutes in the stress lab 90% of the time. And they had a specific time that they wanted that to be established and maintained. Now, this is a great goal. It's a SMART goal. All of us should be pretty familiar with the term SMART goal. It's also something that we covered in the white belt training. So you can see that this is a great specific goal. Also, you'll see to the left the driving forces that this team has identified. Patient complaints are a driving force for them. The physicians want this change to happen. Providers are perhaps having complaints. The staff want the change to happen. You can see there's a strategic quality plan. They want to move that forward. These are all the things that are driving the project. Now let's look over to the right and see some of the restraining forces. Staffing, training or lack of training, a delay in information transfers, communication failures, increases in volume, increases of positive test results. So all of these things may be a restraining force that the team has identified. So that's a basic look at an example of a force field analysis tool. However, if you're in a meeting and you're working with an easel pad or a whiteboard, what would this look like? So I'm going to give you an example of that. So here's an example that I've drawn on an easel pad. It was a very simple example just for this video. But you see that I've just drawn a box and labeled it goal and written in the goal. This one isn't a terribly specific goal. It's just for example. And I've made an arrow with driving forces, labeled it driving forces, and an arrow and labeled it restraining forces. And then under each of these arrows, I've just made some bullet points and started listing the driving forces and the restraining forces. As you can see, there is no requirement for you to be some sort of a fantastical artist. There's not a whole lot of artistic needs here, so don't feel that that's a daunting thing. All you need to do is just simply draw some arrows and draw a box, and then get your team moving and brainstorming through these driving forces and restraining forces. You'll also see that there are some orange post-it notes. So what we did here is we were writing some of the driving forces up, and then when we had all voted and narrowed and decided on these driving forces, we were writing them directly onto the easel pad. Now, another way you could use the Post-it notes is you could have each person have a Post-it note and write down a driving force or a restraining force on it. And then you could get a little bit more interaction from the team, get them up out of their chairs and let them come and place their Post-it notes on the easel pad. That's also a great way to use the Post-it notes. And then you could transcribe them right onto the easel pad after the team has come to a decision, narrowed, and closed their brainstorming session. So that's just a really simple example of what this may look like if you drew it on a whiteboard or an easel board. And that's pretty much it for the force field analysis tool. It's a simple tool. I hope you enjoy using it. Before I leave you, I want to leave you with some information. If you need some help with these tools, you can reach out to some folks to get some help. Lean practitioners, green belts, and lean experts throughout the system. They can be found, lists of them can be found on your facility's performance improvement SharePoint site. And if you're at St. Mary's, Victoria Richardson is your Director of Performance Improvement. If you're at another facility, you will see the name of your Director of Performance Improvement on the SharePoint site, on the Performance Improvement SharePoint site. Also, there's me. I'm more than happy to help you with the tool I've just described to you, and you can just send me an email and I'd be happy to talk to you. And there's some other people who can help you with projects. Maybe not specifically lean tools, but they can help you with other things. Your council chairs or former council chairs for your shared governance or committee chairs, they should all have facilitative leadership training. Your delegates of your evidence-based practice council at your hospital, at St. Mary's we call them the ARC Council, so definitely they can help you with literature searches. The advanced practice nurses at your facility, they definitely have project experience, and most of them have experience with lean tools and facilitative leadership. And there are some folks that work in your quality department. Laura and Kathy work in our quality department at St. Mary's, but the quality department is a great place to go for data with your project. So I hope you've enjoyed learning about the force field analysis tool, and I hope you have a great day and you use this tool very soon. Thank you.